when you are as amazingly successful as you are, your kids will live in a very different world from the world you grew up in. How do you go about making sure that they understand the world you grew up in?
There's a delicate balance to that, right? Because you have to educate your children on the world as it exists today and how it got to that space. But my child doesn't need the same tools that I needed growing up. I needed certain tools to survive my area that my child doesn't need. They're growing up in a different environment. But also they have to know their history, have a sense of what it took to get to this place, and have compassion for others. Right. The most important thing, I think, out of all this is to teach compassion and to identify with everyone's struggle and to know these people made these sacrifices for us to be where we are and to push that forward for us. I believe that's the most important thing to show them, because they don't have to know things that I knew growing up, like being tough. Like,
do you worry at all that as much as you will teach them history and as much as you yourself are seen as an important figure among black people in America, that there's something they'll be missing, or do you think that's silly, in fact, that they have so many advantages that that's like too negative a way of approaching?
Exactly. Like they'll be who they are, right? And it's just certain tools that you would hope for your child to have. You know, like, again, fairness and compassion and like empathy and a loving heart. And those things translate in any environment. Those are the main base things that you want. Well, for me, I would want my child to have. You know, to treat people as they are, no matter who they are, no matter where they sit in the world. Not to like be super nice to someone who has a high position or mean to someone who they deem to be below them. I can't buy you love. I can't show it to you. I can show you affection, and I can express love, but I can't put it in your hand. I can't put compassion in your hand. I can't show you that. So the most beautiful things are things that are invisible. That's where the important things lie.
For me, as a black man of a certain age, when I was a kid, O.J. Simpson was God. I'm 61, so I was a little kid when he was. Do you expect black people and white people and young people and old people to hear different things in your music? I'm sure I heard some things in that song that you may not even have thought of, because I'm a different generation. What do you want a young white kid to hear in that song that maybe a young black kid would not hear?
That's a great question. I think when you make music, you want people to hear it and hear different things, and then you want it to start a dialogue, because that's how we get to understanding. Excuse me. Oh, you felt that way about it. This is actually what I meant, because this happened and these things happened and led to me saying this specific thing.
How did you react when that one line in that song where you referred to Jews and wealth? Some people got upset. How did you feel about that?
I felt it was really hypocritical. Only because, I mean, it's obvious the song is like, you want to be rich, do what people who got rich done. Of course, it's a general statement, right? It's obviously a general statement. Like the video attached to it was a general statement. And if you didn't have a problem with the general statement I made about black people and people eating watermelon and things like that, if that was fine, and that line about wealth bothered you, then that's very hypocritical. And you know, that's something within yourself. Because basically I was saying, you know, Michael Jordan, LeBron James is a great basketball player. He trains in the off season. If you want to be great, train in the off season like him. That's basically the statement. You can't miss the context of the song. You have to be like 5 years old or something.
Some people think that the election of Donald Trump has revived the debate of race in America. Some people think that, in fact, there's always been racism in America, that it hasn't changed, and that the debate isn't any different, it's just people are paying attention to it.
Yeah, there was a great Kanye West line in one of the songs. He said, racism's still alive, they just be concealing it. Take a step back. I think when Donald Sterling got kicked out of the NBA, I thought it was a misstep. Because when you kick someone out, of course he's done wrong, right? But you also send everyone else back in hiding. People talk like that. They talk like that. Let's deal with that. Yeah, I wouldn't just like leave him alone. I don't have that solution. There should have been some sort of penalties. He could have lost some draft picks. But getting rid of him just made everyone else go back into hiding. And then now we can't have the dialogue. The great thing about Donald Trump being president is now we're forced to have the dialogue. And now we're having the conversation on a large scale. He's like provided the platform for us to have the conversation.
And you think that's better? That we should be having the conversation?
Absolutely. That's why this is happening.
Do you think the debate over race in America is happening in a healthy way?
Well, an ideal way is to have a president that says, I'm open to the dialogue and fixing this. That's ideal, but it's still happening in a good way, because you can't have a solution until you start dealing with the problem. What you reveal, you heal. Right? If I have like a tumor and I ignore it, doesn't mean it goes away. I have to diagnose it first, no matter how it happens. If I get hit with a football and like, oh, I feel something there, and then I go to the doctor, it still happened. You know what I'm saying? So however it happens, and we just get hit with a lot of football, to use an analogy that goes next to the NFL.
If you were owner, you would sign Colin Kaepernick, right?
Yeah, I dedicated the story of OJ to him at Meadows' concert.
Have you met him?
No, we just had dialogue over the phone. We told him to get together.
Do you have any doubt that if this not had happened, he would be signed by a team?
Yeah, of course.
Do you think basketball is more politically active than football players?
Yeah.
And why? Why is that?
I think, first of all, it's smaller numbers. There's 12 people on the team. In football, you have 53 people. So it's harder to get 53 people thinking the same thing. It's easier to have a conversation to get 12 people on the same page, for one. Two, they have a great commissioner who's really open and you know, supports them. And you feel that. You feel that, you know, when you have someone behind you that really believe in what's right, it motivates you to do the right thing. I think those two factors show why they're much further along.
Are there incidents even at this stage in your life? So you're famous, you're rich, you own stuff, where you run into racism that's evident to you, that's easy to recognize at this stage of your life? Yes. But it mostly comes when you try to challenge the status quo. I'm being quiet and entertaining, everyone's cool. Man, it's great. You don't feel racism. But when you try to challenge the club, it's like, oh no, we should have a seat to use the Solange album title. We should have a seat at this table. And then it gets into a space where it's like, wait, you guys are mad at me about the same thing you guys are doing. And it's just, it gets into a weird space. Are you in meetings now in your business life where you're the only black man in the room?
Well, when I was doing the Nets, I was definitely the only black guy in the room.
And what was that like? Describe that.
It's strange, but at the same time, I think that in that room, my celebrity allowed me a voice that probably would have been awkward for someone in my position, being the only black person in the room, to break through.
This album sounds to me like a therapy session. It's in a sense. Have you been in therapy?
Yeah.
First off, how does Jay-Z find a therapist? Not in the phone book, right?
No, great friends of mine. You know, friends of mine who've been through a lot and, you know, come out on the other side as like whole individuals.
What was that like being in therapy? What did you talk about that you had never acknowledged to yourself or talk?
I grew so much from the experience. But I think the most important thing I got is that everything is connected. Every emotion is connected and it comes from somewhere. And just being aware of it. Being aware of it in everyday life puts you at such an advantage. You know, you realize that, you know, if someone's racist toward you, it's not even about you. It ain't about you. It's about their upbringing and what happened to them and how they led them to this point. You know, most bullies bully. It's happened. oh, you got bullied as kids, so you're trying to bully me. I understand.
Right.
And once I understand that, instead of reacting to that with anger, I can provide a softer landing. And maybe, oh man, are you okay? I was just saying, there was a lot of fights in our neighborhood that started with, what you looking at? Why you looking at me? You looking at me? And then you realize, oh, you think I see you. You're in the space where you're hurting and you think I see you, so you don't want me to look at you. And you don't want me to see you in such a you don't want me to see your pain. You don't, so you put on this shell of this tough person that's really willing to fight me and possibly kill me because I looked at you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so knowing that and understanding that changes life completely.
Was that a moment that came from therapy?
Yeah, just realizing that, oh my goodness, these young men coming from they're just in pain. But you got to survive. So you go into survival mode. When you go into survival mode, what happened? You shut down.
Right.
You shut down all emotions.
Right.
So even with women, you got shut down emotionally, so you can't connect. And then now all the things happen from there. Infidelity.
You can't connect because you can't connect because of the way you feel about yourself, you mean?
Yes.